If you are here for the first time, my name is Dima and you are on my travel channel. This is the first episode about our trip to South America, and today we will be exploring perhaps the most atypical city for the continent, Buenos Aires. And it has a lot to offer and surprise its guests. In this episode we will discover the most captivating sites in Buenos Aires, identifying those that are a must visit and others that you might consider skipping. We will also dive into the rich diversity and vibrant colors of Buenos Aires, which is arguably the most European city in the South America and is said to pulsate with the rhythm of tango. As always, journey begins at airport, and in Buenos Aires there are two of them. International flights from Europe typically land at Ezeiza Airport, situated 32 kilometers from downtown of Buenos Aires. The airport is quite modern and efficient. The best way to reach the city from there is by taxi, which costs around $35 to the city center. Since I have already mentioned transportation, it was saying that renting a car doesn't make much sense for exploring Buenos Aires. Thanks to the low cost and widespread availability of taxis, getting around by taxi is easier and more convenient. Public transportation is another viable option. Plus, if you choose the right neighborhood to stay in, you will find Buenos Aires' main attractions with a walking distance. Now let's figure out which districts can be considered the right ones and where is the best to stay in Buenos Aires for a couple of days. There are 6 neighborhoods worth considering: Montserrat, San Nicolas, Puerto Madera, Recoleta, Palermo and San Telmo. Chances are you will visit most of these areas while exploring the city. They are all safe, well equipped with necessary infrastructure and ideal for a city stay. Personally, I find Montserrat and San Nicolas to be the most convenient in the terms of logistics. Staying in one of them, you can visit the city's main attractions on foot. We choose Montserrat for our stay and booked a room at the HTL 9 Di Giulio Hotel, situated on the city's most famous street, 9 Di Giulio Avenue. The hotel itself is unremarkable, except for its prime location, so I won't go into details. The cost was $130 for 2 nights, including breakfast. Incidentally, hotel prices in Buenos Aires are quite reasonable, offering plenty of options. And here we smoothly approach the first must-visit place in Buenos Aires. 9 Di Giulio Avenue, named to commemorate Argentina's declaration of independence. The central obelisk dedicated to this event is an imposing site of this avenue, which boasts a width of 140 meters, making it the widest avenue in the world. While this is certainly impressive to see, it can be somewhat inconvenient for pedestrians. Nevertheless, it stands as one of the most iconic symbols of Buenos Aires. After check-in, our first stop was famous shopping street, Florida, where, according to the hotel concierge, it was best to exchange money. At the time, Argentina was experiencing a boom in underground currency exchanges due to the significant discrepancy with the official exchange rate. Credit card acceptance was low among local business and overall digitalization hadn't fully taken hold in the area. On our route, we stumbled into a district filled with local banks, which to our astonishment did not offer exchange services but instead directed us to the National Bank of Argentina. After about an hour spent in 2 different lines, we successfully managed our currency exchange. The banking district, grand and imposing in appearance, unfortunately does not mirror the economic stability or the strength of Argentina's national currency. It's an interesting area to explore, but more in a passing-through manner. Following lunch at a typical Buenos Aires business cafe, we proceeded to Florida Street, often touted in guidebooks as a shopping destination in Buenos Aires. Personally, I view it as just another touristy street filled with an array of nondescript shops and chain fast food restaurants. Next on our stroll was Plaza de Mayo. For Argentina, this is a place where many important events in its history have taken place. For tourists, it offers a chance to visit 4 of of Buenos Aires ski attractions in one go. The Presidential Palace, also known as a Pink House, offers weekend-guided tours allowing visitors inside. Given Buenos Aires' frequent protests and demonstrations, mostly occurring in Plaza de Mayo, the palace is encircled by a formidable fence. The main religious site in the Buenos Aires Metropolitan Cathedral, reputed for its extraordinary interior beauty. The Cabildo, translated to City Hall, now serves as a historical museum dedicated to itself and the revolution leading to Argentina's independence, offering architectural intrigue. A convenient choice after the square is to visit the most modern district of Buenos Aires, Puerto Madero. A logical next stop is Puerto Madero, Buenos Aires' most modern district developed from former port docks. This revitalized area features a distinctive design, allowing for leisurely walks by the water, yacht viewing, and the modern architecture that set it apart from the rest of Buenos Aires. While the restaurants here are excellent, they are not expensive. A standout attraction is the Puente de la Mujer, or Bridge of the Woman, symbolizing a couple dancing the tango, a fitting homage in Buenos Aires. While walking around the city, you will definitely notice a large number of buses, which, by the way, have a cool design. However, despite their abundance and aesthetical appeal, using them might not be the most convenient option. This is because the bus drivers also act as ticket collectors, insisting passengers board only through the front door, which often leads to long lines. Evening was approaching, bringing with it the time for excellent Argentine wine. To me, Argentina has always been synonymous with three things: soccer, steaks, and wine. Although soccer wasn't part of our itinerary, we indulged in steaks and other meat delicacies throughout our journey. However, finding a place to buy wine outside of bars and restaurants proved to be a bit of a challenge at first. After a few unsuccessful attempts at supermarkets, we turned to the local for advice. They were more than happy to help, quickly pointing us to specialized wine shops, which was exactly what we were looking for. So save yourself some time and head straight for a wine shop. On the way back to the hotel, we stopped to look at one more world-famous attraction of Buenos Aires. And it is the Theater Colón, situated on the now familiar 9 de Julio Avenue. Architecturally, it didn't particularly stand out to us, as there are theaters around the world with far more stunning designs. However, the true value of a theater lies within its interiors and performances. While it is an important cultural site, I wouldn't recommend dedicated time to it unless you are attending a show. After a little rest at the hotel and trying some local wine, we decided to end our first day in a landmark place of Buenos Aires called Café Tortoni. Opened in 1858 by a French immigrant, this café was inspired by a namesake bohemian café in Paris. It has hosted numerous celebrities, including Albert Einstein, and is listed by UCity Guides as one of the top 10 most beautiful cafés in the world. Its fame means it's usually crowded, so booking in advance is advisable. Visiting here can conveniently be combined with another activity that is must-do in Buenos Aires, and it is tango show, which is an integral part of experiencing this incredible city. There are numerous spots in the city to experience tango, but after some digging, Café Tortoni stood out as the best choice for us, striking the right balance between price and assurance of a quality performance. Our visit there cost about $20 per person. To be honest, the interior of the cafe didn't blow us away. The performance takes place in a cozy hall in the basement. If your party is smaller than 4, you'll be seated with other guests at your table. You have the option to order food and drinks before the show begins. While the cuisine didn't particularly impress us, the tango show, lasting around 30 minutes, was delightful, featuring several pairs of dancers executing the tango with remarkable skills. It was a satisfying cultural experience. Caffè Tortoni is definitely worth a visit for those interested in tango. The next day we started with a visit to the National Congress Palace of Argentina, which is located a 10 minutes walk from our hotel in Congress Square. This neoclassical marvel, designed by an Italian architect, boasts a 80-meter dome that's visible from a distance. It is well worth setting aside time to explore this architectural wonder. Next, we decided to see what the subway system in Buenos Aires was like. Completely underground, the subway network comprises 6 lines and 135 stations. Its entrance is reminiscent of those in New York or Barcelona. Despite not covering the entire city, which is sizable, it has its historical significance as the first subway system in South America and the Southern Hemisphere, inaugurated in 1913. Buenos Aires stands alone in Argentina with a metro system. For access, you'll need a Suba card, which you top up as needed. A single journey costs 15 pesos at the time. While the subway's design is not particularly unique, even with various art installations, it's clean, well-designed, free of overwhelming advertisements, and maintains decent quality rolling stock. Our brief subway experience was positive, offering a convenient option for tourists. After testing the subway, we hopped into a taxi and headed up to one of the most controversial places in Buenos Aires. This is the La Boca neighborhood. Generally considered a less safe part of the city, its central area, especially Caminita, is safe and popular with tourists during daylight hours. While La Boca is highly recommended in guidebooks, I found its appeal somewhat exaggerated. Originally a settlement for African slaves, it later became home to predominantly Italian immigrants who contributed to its vibrant facade. Now it is a tourist hub, spanning 3 streets with Caminita as its heart. The area's charm lies in its colorful, albeit worn, houses, ground-floor souvenir shops, restaurants and cafes, some offering tango performances. Additionally, stalls line the streets selling local artisan crafts, reminiscent of our famous Andreevsky district. What are your thoughts on La Boca? It's touristy yet entertaining, capturing a unique South American vibe. Is it worth visiting? Absolutely. It is a crucial part of the Buenos Aires experience. After strolling around a bit, trying some pretty good Argentine beer and not lingering too long, we moved on. The next stop on our route was the Recoleta district, which completely opposite of La Boca. This district is prestigious and among the most expensive in Buenos Aires, often dubbed Little Paris for its French-style architecture. Right from the start we were captivated. Although it is not the only beautiful neighborhood in the city, its unique charm made us think living here wouldn't be too bad. It is definitely worth taking your time to meander through its streets. Our path led us to the most famous site in this area, the Recoleta Cemetery. To be honest, I'm usually not keen on visiting cemeteries, but you just cannot skip this one in Buenos Aires. Before reaching the main entrance, I suggest grabbing a coffee at the renowned La Biela Cafe. It boasts an outdoor terrace shaded by a 200-year-old giant fig tree, a site in itself. It is the perfect spot to take a moment and soak in the ambience of this extraordinary city. The cemetery is just a short walk away through the square. This is not your average cemetery. It feels more like a collection of mini museums dedicated to the notables buried here, including nobility, former presidents and other key Argentine figures. It also where Eva Perón or Evita, the country's most famous woman, is laid to rest. The cemetery's elaborate monuments have made it one of the world's most famous necropolises. Founded over 200 years ago by Franciscan monks, it directly follows the El Pilar church they built earlier,
Entry is free and it is worth a visit if you are in the neighborhood.
Next, mostly seeking refuge from the heat, we look into Recoleta Cultural Center located near Cemetery.
It is a fairly standard art space featuring various contemporary art installations, along with a co-working area, a cafe and places to relax. It didn't particularly stand out to us, and frankly you could probably skip it. Just a 15-minute walk from the cemetery, however, you stumble upon an interesting spot called Florilis generica, a gigantic mechanical flower meant to symbolize hope and the untamed aspects of nature. If you have visited, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments.
As evening approached, we moved to Palermo, the last district I planned to visit.
Palermo is Buenos Aires' largest, greenest and least touristy area, known for its bohemian vibe with an abundance of excellent restaurants, lively nightclubs, street art and designer boutiques. We got a taste of its atmosphere and check out a few highlights.
First on our list was Japanese Garden.
An incredibly serene spot designed in the traditional Japanese manner. It is a place of harmony and balance. The garden hosts a mix of South American and traditional Japanese plants, and interestingly, it is the largest Japanese garden outside of Japan. Opened during the visit of the Japanese Crown Prince in 1967. Our time there was truly enjoyable, and we recommend spending at least a couple of hours exploring. But the garden is just one aspect of Palermo's large diversity. Right across the street is an exquisite rose garden, or El Rosedal, renowned for its 8,000 rose varieties and stunning landscaping. Near the monument to the four regions, you will also discover several delightful squares perfect for a leisurely walk. Not far from there, you will come across a somewhat futuristic structure, the Galileo Galilei Planetarium, part of Buenos Aires City Planetarium. You could easily dedicate a whole day to exploring this section of Palermo alone.
After our green adventures in Palermo, we headed for our farewell dinner in Buenos Aires.
We choose Don Julio, a gem with the same neighborhood. Don Julio is not just one of Buenos Aires' top restaurants. It is the best in Argentina, ranking among the top 50 worldwide and in Latin America. I stumbled upon it through its high TripAdvisor ratings in Palermo. We didn't book in advance, usually a must for such places, but arriving 15 minutes before they opened worked out well. After around an hour and a half, we were seated, while those arriving later faced a wait time of about 1 to 2 hours, judging by the line. Luckily, there was Prosecco to make the wait more enjoyable. Don Julio epitomizes the classic Argentine parrilla or steakhouse. It is quaint with a classic design, steering clear of overly fancy decor. The highlight of its menu is an array of meats and steaks from premium Argentine beef, grilled on traditional Argentine parrillas. The steak culture here is as integral to Argentinians as their passion for tango. Besides the meats, there are many delicious traditional starters to try, and naturally no meal here would be complete without excellent Argentine wine. The selection impresses, boasting about 30 Malbec options alone. The service is outstanding, ensuring a memorable dining experience. The cost of dinner varies with your choices of dishes and wine, but remember, top-notch steakhouses are not known for being budget-friendly. Overall, Don Julio definitely lives up to its reputation and offered a fantastic finale to our Buenos Aires visit. I highly recommend it.
Our attempt to see Buenos Aires in just 2 days was quite dynamic. I have to admit that I underestimated its potential and didn't allocate enough time, but it was a compromise considering the overall intensity of our trip. I would like to advise you to stay here at least 5 days to fully enjoy its charm. Even then, it might be not enough to truly immerse yourself in see Buenos Aires in all its glory. Thanks for watching, I hope it was interesting and helpful for you. Hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. And see you in the next episode in the vastness of Argentine Patagonia.